Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and recap the 2023 free agents that's out there and what I think is the most important for the Atlanta Falcons. After that, of course, guys, we're gonna start getting to the draft. That's the next phase, free agency, then the draft. Then we can see what this 2023 team is going to look like. So, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button. So I know you guys are here to talk about. And please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here and talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, like I said, we're going to quick recap. Okay, of course for me, talking about free agents, I always believe that when teams go in the free agency period, they're going to get some needs, right? They're going to look for some of the needs. They got guys that already proven. They know their pedigree. They know what they made of. They know what they potentially could do for their team because they have seen it in NFL. So you're going to go out. If you're going to spend money on these guys are proven guys you're going to bring in and for need. So, sometimes you bring in for potential because what you think these guys are going to be able to do, maybe they did not do it at the other stop, but they come into your franchise and they're able to make changes and do things in your franchise. So that's what you're looking for in the free agency. It's my opinion. I think that's what most teams be looking for. They're looking for the needs. Somebody they can bring in to boost up their roster, right? So that's what we're going to look at today. Real quick, recap some of the guys that I really liked from a defense or offensive standpoint that can definitely come in and help this 2023 Atlanta Falcons team. And if they're going to bring in free agents, hopefully, since they got money, instead of doing these one-year deals, they can actually sign some of these guys to a long-term deal, and they can be part of the Falcon family for a while. So, of course, I talked about it when we started this video series of free agents. Defense is my first thing I want to look at for the most parts, and definitely we're going to talk about defense. We're going to talk about, in my opinion, the biggest need is going to be the defensive line. So that's where I'm going to start today. Like I said, real quick, recap these guys. Not going to go too much in detail because you want to go back to some of my older videos. You can definitely look at that, but from a defensive tackle spot, remember I talked about 4 guys. My major guy that I wanted was to run Payne, Javon Hargrave, David Onyemata, and Dalvin Tomlinson. Those are the 4 guys that they want to go out and get them. The big guy, like I said, the big fish would be Daron Payne. If they can get him, that would be definitely. I think this is the biggest need for the Atlanta Falcons. We will see if they feel the same way. Of course, this is me, Ricondo, a fan, talk about what I feel like the biggest need. But we'll see what the Atlanta Falcons feel is their biggest need and who the first guy they try to peg when they come to the free agency period. For me, I would feel like going to get, fortifying that defensive front first, especially we look at our new defensive coordinator, his pedigree, what he likes. I feel like this would definitely be the first thing they should target is the defensive line. All right, next, got to fix the pass rush. Pass rush is something that we know is a big thing for us, so we need to be able to focus on our pass rush. Guys, I look for a pass rush. Brandon Graham, Oyinka Igakwe, Jadeveon Clowney, Marcus Davenport. Got familiarity with the head coach, the defensive coordinator. Bring back Lorenzo Carter, and then Larry Ojanobi. Those are my pass rushers. We got to fix pass rush. 21 sacks this year. Not good enough for us. Fortify the defensive tackle line part first, right? You can get the pressure from them inside, then go on the outside. We know we're going to get some uptick this year from some of our guys we already got in there. Armor Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, those guys definitely should be improved this year. Okendeji can take another step forward. Like I say, you bring back Lorenzo Carter, but any of these guys that I talked about, Jadeveon Clowney probably would be the last on the list because of his injury issues. But if you can get him for a cheap deal, maybe bring him in. Out of that class, for me, guys like Brandon Graham, who's on the older side. Maybe if you want to stay young, you go get Unique Ngakwe. Marcus Davenport is a nice guy to bring in, even though I don't know what about that price tag that they got for him right now at $23 million. So you bring him in for a little bit less. But those are the guys on the defensive front, pass rush and defensive line that we talked about. All right, guys, those are my first needs that we're going to talk about. Defensive pass rush and defensive line. All right. Staying on the defensive side of the ball. For me, if we're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, we're definitely going to look at some guys. We talked about the secondary. So guys that I talked about secondary, got to go way back. This was the first video I did. Jesse Bates, Jordan Poyer, Jimmy Ward, James Bradbury, Jonathan Jones, and Emmanuel Mosley. These are the guys that I feel like we bring these guys in to go along, with some of our younger secondary players. We got Richie Grant, AJ Terrell, of course, right? Those guys, you bring those guys in to help boost up. Like I said, we still don't know about Casey Hayward. I don't think he maybe fit the new defensive coordinator and pass coordinator scheme. We'll have to see. But if Casey Hayward might get cut, that's another $5 million to come onto the cap if they decide to do that. So definitely. But those 6 guys I just talked about: Jesse Bates, Jordan Poyer, Jimmy Ward, James Bradbury, Jonathan Jones, and Emmanuel Mosley. Of course, James Bradbury is definitely going to be in the Super Bowl this weekend on Sunday. We'll definitely have to see what he can show us. Maybe he's add more onto his his contract, and be more we have to pay him if we bring a guy like that in. But secondary is definitely next on my list. So if we're gonna go down that road, that's what we got to do. All right. Last but not least, we talk about linebackers, right? From a defensive, stay on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, Rashaan Evans, bring Rashaan Evans back. Tremaine Edmonds, we talked about him. Younger guy, 24-year-old. That's a big splash. We're going to bring him in. Devin Bush from Pitt. And Anthony Walker Jr. Those are the 4 linebackers that I talked about. Go back and look at the video. We'll talk about some of the things they did. If we want to bring in another linebacker to go along with Troy Anderson and Michael Walker, definitely Rashaan Evans already have familiarity with this team. Defense probably changed a little bit, but Rashaan Evans led the team in tackles last year, so definitely somebody we could bring back. But for me, you guys know Tremaine Edmonds was the guy for me. They want to go out and make a big splash at that position. So, guys, that's our defensive side of the ball. So, if we're going out of free agency, for me, first of all, defensive line, pass rush, those are the main things, right? Of course, I went through all the other defensive positions, but the other biggest need that I think that we really need to talk about is the receivers. So I think that Kyle Pitts and Drake London going to need some help out there. So we're going down the list. For me, to be defensive line, pass rush. Then we're going to come back to the offensive side of the ball, go get a receiver in free agency before we come back to the defensive side. So looking at the free agents in the receiver core, I wasn't really impressed with some of the free agents they had out there. I think we talked about it. But Olamide Zaccheaus, Jacoby Myers, a guy like Miko Hartman for some speed, him and Paris Campbell. DJ Chart was another one. So those are the guys we bring in. Like I said, if you go out there and look at the free agent market for wide receivers, it was really not that impressive to me. If you want to bring some speed in, guys like Miko Hartman and Paris Campbell is a guys to bring in. If you bring somebody that has familiarity with this team, bring a guy like Olamide Zaccheaus back. So that's where I would go on the other side of the ball, bringing in Olamide Zaccheaus, Jacoby Myers, somebody like that. Maybe a Miko Hartman or a Paris Campbell. That's where we at on the offensive side of the ball. All right, next, one of the positions that we probably, initially thought that we really had issues with, right? But instead, we actually did pretty good this year. It's the offensive line position. So we're just talking guards, right? Guards and the right tackle position, that left guard position, bringing in. I love the chemistry of offensive line, so I don't want to make too many changes on the offensive line. But of course, Caleb McGarry is a free agent, so we can bring him back, solidify that right tackle position would be great for us. At the guards, you got Dalton Reiser for Denver, Ben Powers from Baltimore, Isaac Somola from Philly, and then if we're going back to right tackle, if we're not able to get Caleb McGarry, Mike McGlinchey from the San Francisco 49ers. So those are our offensive linemen that we definitely can look at. Just let me know, guys, what you think about our offensive linemen. And if you notice, I did not talk about tight ends. I feel like our tight ends are pretty good from a tight end standpoint. I love Kyle Pitts. I love McCole Pruitt. If we can bring him back, Parker Hesse, and the guy that did not really hit the field this year, John Fitzpatrick. I think our tight end room is pretty good. I didn't talk running backs. I like our running back room right now. Maybe we can get a running back in the draft. But if with our guys we got now, Kayla Huntley come back, I think our running back room is pretty solid. Also, I did not mention quarterbacks. Don't like none of the free agent quarterbacks out there. Definitely think they're going to have to bring in a veteran quarterback, depending on what they do with Marcus Mariota. But at this point in time, didn't like all the veterans out there. Definitely, you could consider bringing some of those guys in to be a backup to Desmond Ridder. But just was really not impressed at the free agent market for quarterbacks. They're going to have to bring in somebody, though. They can't not go with Logan Woodside and Desmond Ridder in the quarterback room. I think they need a veteran presence in there. So we're going to look out for that. Guys like Teddy Bridgewater is out there, Jacoby Brissett. We'll just have to see what route they take from the quarterback position, bringing in a veteran to play behind Desmond Ridder. But guys, those are the quick recap of the free agents that I feel like the Atlanta Falcons should go at this offseason. Next, we're going to talk about the draft. Everybody's already seen multiple mock drafts out there. People talking about who the Falcons should pick first. I still think it's a little bit too early because free agency has not happened yet. I really believe that you got to look and see what they pick up in free agency to kind of determine what direction the Falcons might go in the draft. Terry Fonten always talk about best player available. So even though they pick a guy in free agency, does not mean that they're not going to pick a guy in the draft as well. So we don't really know, but I still like to see what they're going to do in free agency first before we get into the draft. So that's just the way I like to do it. Then we'll start talking about, mock drafts and see what direction they decide to go in the draft. And I'll put out way more mock drafts than I put out last year. I think I did like 2 or 3. But I'm really excited to start, talking about these draftees. And then I'll highlight some of the other later round draft picks like we did last year. I also talked about Tyler Algier was one of the guys that I really highlighted for the Falcons. And guess what? They actually selected Tyler Algier. So got one right out of all the guys that I highlighted for the Atlanta Falcons last year. And Tyler Algier actually had a really, really good rookie season. So, guys, that's all I have on the recap for free agents. Really looking forward to moving to the draftees, all these guys that they particularly draft, especially in the first round. Then we'll get into the later rounds as well. And this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.